And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello and welcome everyone to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Saturday, August 23rd. And a quick check of some of the weather-related headlines across the state. It's been a warm weekend along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle, southern, southeastern parts of the mainland. Temperatures as high as 75 to 80 degrees. There is a heat advisory in effect for the southern Panhandle into Sunday evening as temperatures Prince of Wales Island and on over to Metlakatla, Ketchikan, Hyder, we'll see those warm temperatures. There's a wind advisory up along areas of the central eastern interior, the higher terrain north and east of Fairbanks, Gobbler's Knob, up along the south slopes of the Brooks Range, Coldfoot, and Arctic Village until 1 o'clock Sunday morning. We have a gusty southwesterly winds that are feeding a lot of moisture into the interior. It's actually an atmospheric river component bringing tropical moisture from the Pacific up over the Bering and then into the mainland interior. And periods of rain now through at least early Tuesday. We're looking at 2 to 5 inches of rain possible across a good swath of the western and central interior. Shaktoolik, rain and the surf's been up. We have a surf advisory is going to expire just about the time I post this video. But it kind of gives you a sense. No major problems reported, but gusty southwest winds 25 knots or so kicking up that surf. Over in Ambler, steadier rain and fog 53. Ambler and Shugnook are a couple of locations that can end up on the heavier side in excess of 3 or 4 inches of rain with the system through the early part of the week. Meanwhile, along the Gulf Coast, Seward's enjoying mostly sunny skies, mid-60s this Saturday afternoon. Klawock hit 80 degrees yesterday, Friday afternoon, and there is a heat advisory for the Saturday afternoon, early evening, and again Sunday, already 74 degrees as of mid-afternoon this Saturday. And a quick check of the watches, warnings, advisories, the heat advisory here in effect until early Sunday evening for the southern Panhandle, including Klawock on over through Ketchikan, Metlakatla, and Hyder. And then as we look up here along the eastern interior, this is a wind advisory. We have this brisk southwest winds, especially aloft. And as a result, that wind advisory is in effect until 1 a.m., mainly affecting some of the higher terrain, again, north and east of Fairbanks. And as you go up along the Dalton Highway to the south slopes of the Brooks Range, those southwest winds are funneling a lot of moisture into the interior. And then along the west coast, from around the Bering Strait through Norton Sound, lower Yukon coast, this high surf advisory will expire 4 p.m. this Saturday afternoon, right around the time I post this video. So at least that will begin to settle down, but we already have the moisture streaming inland across the interior. This area of green is a hydrologic outlook for some moderate to heavier rainfall expected now through early in the upcoming week. Any of the rivers here, the Yukon River, you have the Koyukuk, Kobuk, you have parts of the Kuskokwim, are all going to see some notable water rises. We're not expecting major flooding, but just for safety's sake, because the water levels tend to run a bit lower at times in the summer, you're going to see notable rises with this kind of rain. And taking a look at what we have for expected rainfall, this is what a 3-day total for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday into 4 a.m. Tuesday. Again, just north and east of Fairbanks along the higher terrain and extending westward along the Yukon River and all the way out toward eastern Norton Sound, we could be looking at some rainfall totals in excess of 4 inches and some of the heavier amounts there. Also, as you go up the south slopes there of the Brooks Range. So very wet system, and if that's not enough, as we go through Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday, Thursday, another system's going to come in and bring another round of rain to this area. Not just rain, but wind too, so stay tuned to future forecasts there. The only good news about all this is it shut down the fire season. Fire season's over now for areas north of the Alaska Range. We still have a few pockets of higher fire danger, upper Tanana Valley around Tok, Northway, maybe a little area around Glen Ellen in the Copper River Basin, and then this spot in the Kenai between Cooper Landing on over towards Sterling. Fire danger is going to run a little higher there, at least into the early part of the week until some rain can move up into this portion of South Central. So looking at satellite imagery, we have this low still sitting here in the North Pacific south of the Gulf. There still are some lingering clouds, but nothing too terribly heavy. And we have a ridge of high pressure that's going to kind of be sitting right like this, which favors sunshine and warmer temperatures for the panhandle into early part of the week. Back to the west, we can see hints of that atmospheric river. These higher clouds indicate some kind of the flow of the mid-upper level winds coming in like this, and this is streaming moisture all the way further south and west down in the tropical Pacific, coming up across the Aleutians into the Bering, and then pushing inland across the western and central interior. So later tonight, early on Sunday morning, this front is stalled out just north and west of the Alaska Range. It extends down toward the western central Aleutians, and it's just a conduit for moisture to ride up along. So within these areas, you're going to see some periods of just steady light to moderate rain, and that adds up over time. As we get into Sunday, we still have this ridge sitting in the North Pacific up into the eastern Gulf, and that's what's going to bring the panhandle more sunshine and another warm late summer day for Sunday afternoon and evening. Front that's fairly stationary is waiting for this next wave of low pressure that'll be crossing the western central Aleutians in the afternoon, and that's going to head fairly quickly northeastward. It'll be up near Nome by Monday afternoon, so that's going to help pull this front a little bit back to the north and west, but it's going to renew the rain, especially along this area of the Yukon, and so that's why these rainfall amounts are going to be so notable as Fairbanks westward. And there's the ridge still holding off of Haida Gwaii in the outer portion of the panhandle, but that'll bring some warm temperatures, and there's yet another low pressure wave that's going to be coming northeastward up to the YK deltas for Tuesday. So again, this wet pattern will continue, and then yet another secondary wave is going to pull back more moisture for midweek coming up maybe into south central areas, so it won't be quite as dry, but still the sliver of the ridge holding there on Tuesday afternoon, which would favor the panhandle and up here along the Alcan border, including the upper Tanana Valley, to remain drier with some sunshine and warm temperatures. Here's the look at temperatures cooling down along the spine of the Brooks Range near. There could be a little wet snow mixing in there later tonight, Sunday morning. 30s just above freezing along the Arctic coast. Where there's clouds, a stream of moist, mild air. Lows in the mid-50s here. Kuskokwim, lower half of the Yukon Valley. Temperatures generally in the 50s across the Panhandle. Mid-upper 50s, Alaska Peninsula, because this is a warm system. And then we have highs, 74 there at Northway on Sunday, maybe 70-ish at Glen Allen. 80 degrees here. Look at that down at Ketchikan and Heidelberg, and even 69, 70-ish, easily 70-ish there, Juneau, Petersburg. And for Monday morning, temperatures might be a few degrees warmer along the north slope because we do have that push of slightly warmer, wet, moist air coming northward. Still not cold enough to be of a substantial kind of setup for snow yet, but nevertheless, we're not far away from that happening. And over here we have in the Panhandle, lows generally above 50, temperatures staying generally above 50 most of south central, and certainly out here, the southwest interior, Bethel on up toward McGrath, mid-50s for low, but you're going to see periods of rain or rain showers. And then high temperatures Monday afternoon, still warm, 75, I'd say mid-upper 70s here for the Panhandle, depends on cloud cover. And then again, Alcan border, Eagle, Northway, low mid-70s. And as we go westward, temperatures though around 60, because I said this is a mild air coming in off its tropical air coming in across the Bering and being pulled inland across the interior. So just kind of steady, mild temperatures with those periods of rain, especially north and west of the Alaska Range as we continue through Monday. And the extended outlook here to close out August, the first couple days of September favor above normal temperatures over the Panhandle, southeast mainland, including the Alcan border. So when you have this kind of setup, this implies a lingering ridging enough to bring you warmer temperatures, but then West side of the state, not especially cold, near normal temperatures, the western mainland and along the west coast. But drier doesn't mean you couldn't have a few showers, but that tends to be a drier pattern for the panhandle. But the flow of moisture coming up from the south, because the weather system's coming in like this, so the mainland, especially from around the Alaska Peninsula, surrounding Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, up across the interior, could see above normal precipitation during that time frame. So that's the way things are shaping up. No real cold temperatures to speak of here as we begin to slide towards September.